How does perspective shape reality? I think in order to answer this question, we first have to define a few terms, right? The first term that we have to define clearly before we start our conversation is what even is perspective, and how is it different from like consciousness, let's say. I think perspective is simply your vantage point, and I think consciousness is your awareness of being. I think consciousness is like if perspective is your viewpoint, then consciousness is the person that is seeing that viewpoint, or that is having that perspective, and is aware of having that perspective. And I think that's how you define, like that's what differentiates perspective from consciousness. Consciousness is awareness, like you're aware that you're alive, and that's like you being conscious. And perspective is your viewpoint on the world now that you are aware that you are conscious. And I think of consciousness as like, I like to use the mountain metaphor when I try to describe consciousness. So the person sitting at the bottom of the mountain will have a very different perspective from the person that is halfway up the mountain, and will have a very different perspective from somebody that's like looking at the world from the mountaintop. Those are three very different perspectives on the world, and based on your perspective, based on like what you're even able to see around you and the experiences that you're even able to have around you, that's going to shape your view on the world. Because not only is your perspective different at the bottom of the mountain versus at the top, your life experience is different. Like, right? Like, think of like a tribe that lives at the bottom of the mountain, and then think of a tribe that lives on the mountaintop. Like, those two tribes will have completely different lifestyles and completely different perspectives. Like, their perspectives on life will be different, but also their lifestyle would be different, and therefore their realities would be different because they're dealing with different things. And so I think that being aware of your perspective in life and what your vantage point is at any point in time is going to be extremely, extremely helpful and extremely important on your journey. And I'm not saying that the people that live at the bottom of the mountain are worse than the people that live on the mountaintop and have a wider perspective, right? Like, it's not a game of good and bad, like, oh, I'm on the mountaintop, therefore I'm better than everybody else. No, you just have a different perspective. Like, you can just see further than the person that's at the bottom of the mountain. Like, that's really it. There is no better than anybody. But I do think it's important to kind of do a life review and to see what your perspective on things is. And I like to do this with my goals or my desires at any given point in time. Like, when I think of my desire, what is my perspective on it? And does it feel like it's absolutely impossible? and there's a million limitations to it? Does it feel like, maybe I guess it could happen? Or does it feel like, yeah, I for sure have everything that I need to like pursue this fully, and it's inevitable and it's only a matter of time? And your perspective on your desire is going to tell you where you are in the manifestation chain. And I think that's a very good thing to know, because then it's not a matter of like, oh, I have it versus I don't. It's also, it could be a matter of like, I'm just learning where I am in the process. Like I'm learning where I am in the loop, and all of the points in the formula that will get me my desire are important and are valuable, and there's something that you can learn at every stop in the journey. And just because you're like focused on like all of your changes right now are like identity changes, let's say, or all of the changes that you're seeing are mental and emotional, that's fine. Like, that's not a bad thing, that's a great thing. But your perspective is going to tell you where you are in the formula. And if you are at the point where your new identity is mostly showing up in the form of new thoughts and new ways of thinking, that's great. Like, that's a great thing to know. And there's nothing bad about it. It's just information that tells you where you are in the loop. And so I think perspective can definitely shape our viewpoint and how we think of ourselves and how we think about our desires and our like relationship with our desires. And so I think knowing what your perspective is extremely important, and it can offer a great deal of information. If this video was helpful for you, then I think you would definitely love my book that I recently published. It's called Mastering the Middle. And in this book, I talk about the gap between the time that you decide to pursue a desire and the time that you actually get that desire. And I call this gap between these two things as the middle. And the middle is not a passive time. It's not a time to wait around and to like hope and pray that somebody's going to help you or that your desire is going to fall in your lap. That's not what the middle is about. The middle is a time of very intense inner transformation, and there is a like formula that you can follow to find out where you are in the gap between like desire and reality. And I think this book is a great guide for people that are feeling lost in the process, or that have given up on their desires for whatever reason. Maybe it's taking too long, maybe it feels impossible, like whatever the reason is. I think that this book can help a lot of people and bring a lot of clarity. And so if that sounds interesting to you, then I will leave the link in the description box below. And thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.